So what do Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey Circus and the state of North Carolina have in common? Well, believe it or not, they do have something in common. Both organizations have been the proud owners of a 9-car train, complete with a greatest show on earth insignia slapped on the side. No, we are not kidding about this. We do know that North Carolina now owns a circus train. Rick Henderson is editor-in-chief of Carolina Journal. He joins us now to talk about this really incredible story broken by Carolina Journal. Rick, welcome back to the show.
Thank you, Donna.
Okay, so why does the state of North Carolina own a circus train?
Because people inside the State Department of Transportation believe that this particular train, which the state bought when Ringling Brothers went out of business 3 years ago, can be refurbished into a passenger train, passenger cars for a passenger train.
9 cars, right?
9 cars, that's right. There's no engines, there's no locomotive, but these it's up for refurbishing now. The question, as Don Carrington was out there reporting the story and looking at the train, he calls into question whether or not it's actually going to be worth refurbishing by the time anybody gets around to it, because as far as we can tell, the plans for doing so are not immediate. And the train itself, the cars are starting to get dilapidated. I mean, some of the windows have been broken out and covered with plywood. The metal itself is getting rusty. I mean, it's not exactly what you would call your classic turnkey operation when it comes to refurbishing a train.
So, Rick, where is this train sitting?
Just outside the town of Spring Hope. It's on the term abandoned rail line draws the ire of some people in the rail business, because actually you can conceivably still use this little spur to do things like store trains that are no longer in use, as with our circus train here.
So it's actually on a train track.
It's on a train track, but the track itself is not really used for anything right now. It hasn't been for some time. And that's typically what happens, as it turns out, when someone purchases an out-of-service train or portion of a train that it intends to use later on. It will put it in an area that doesn't have any active traffic, so they don't have to move it constantly, but it's sort of hidden in the woods, and we got a tip about it, and Don was actually able to look on Google Earth and see, yes, there's a train out in the woods
in Nash
County, and so he went out and took some photos of it and then started asking some questions and did the story.
And by the way, the story and this incredible pictures of this train are available at carolinajournal.com. I would encourage everyone who hasn't yet seen this to go onto the website, carolinajournal.com, and I suspect if you put into the search box circus train,
that'll get it.
It's going to come up and you can see the picture of this. And you're right, Rick, when I'm looking at the pictures of it, I mean, you do see the greatest show on earth placard that has been on the side. It's kind of like peeled off, and there is plywood, so it looks like it's in terrible condition. Now, you said that DOT says they may want to convert it into some sort of operational train.
Right.
Do we have any idea, like, where they might see that train actually going to and from, or what the use would be?
I mean, the Department of Transportation is involved with some passenger train operations. For one thing, it could indeed contract and lease with, say, Amtrak or some other passenger train system. They spent nearly $400,000 for these 9 cars. But again,
that's taxpayer money that went out for this.
That's right. That's taxpayer money. But again, as far as we can tell, there are no immediate plans to do this. There are, again, there are issues of, well, is it more expensive to purchase new rail cars if you're going to have a passenger train system than it is to refurbish old ones? Well, this will be a good test case of whether or not that is true.
I have been reading stories over the last months about what apparently is a very, very interesting hobby almost, I'll use that term, by people who have some money to spare and who like to ride on trains, and they go out and buy these things themselves, and then they, I guess, hook onto Amtrak at some points, right, and they're able to go across the country where they want to go on their private car. But I never really thought of it as something that state government would get involved in. Do you recall when they bought this? Was it
That was right
news?
after. It was right after Ringling Brothers went out of business in 2017. It was bought right after Governor Cooper took office. In fact, and the thing about it is, we don't really know exactly when they're going to use it, where they plan to use it. They just have it. They say, well, we need the excess stock in case we want to operate passenger lines. But again, North Carolina also owns a railroad, and we've done stories about the North Carolina Railroad. So it owns a railroad company, now it owns a train. It doesn't own an engine, as far as we can tell. So they're getting there.
Unless it's sitting somewhere and we just don't know yet.
We're getting there, though. We'll eventually have a real live train we can actually use.
Well, it's a great story reported on by Don Carrington of Carolina Journal. Again, it's all available, including those really interesting photos at carolinajournal.com. And Rick, I think this story, which has really caught on, other news media now reporting on this after CJ broke this story, it's a really good example of the type of really good reporting work and investigative work. This happens to be kind of a half fun, half serious story, but it is taxpayer money, and this is important for people to know. But Carolina Journal does have great reporters, does get tips that other news organizations don't, and follows up on them. And in fact, now, Carolina Journal is the recipient of numerous additional awards now from the North Carolina Press Association. First of all, congratulations.
Thank you.
You happen to be one of the award winners. Tell us about it.
That's correct. Well, a few years back, the Press Association started acknowledging the fact that there were publications that produced most of their content online rather than in print or in broadcast. And the Press Association doesn't really handle broadcast media at all, but it does. It has focused on print, and it started opening an online division for publications like ours. We do a paper product, but most of the material we do is online.
Print edition is monthly,
That's
but
right.
daily news cycle.
Daily news cycle, and so we do that, and so they opened up a separate set of awards for online publications, and we began entering that 3 years ago. And each of the 3 years we've been winners, and we won 7 awards this time, which is actually combined is as many as we'd won in the previous 2 years. We're very pleased with the fact that we got a couple of first prizes. I got it for editorials for the 3rd straight year.
You can say it. I know you're a little bit hesitant to toot
Humble
your own
brag
horn,
here.
but go ahead.
But for editorials for the 3rd straight year, but also very pleased with the reporting awards. One of them was a separate category that Duke University sponsors on higher education reporting, and Carrie Travis and Lindsay Marcello won that award for their work about general transparency failures inside the UNC system. They've both been reporting about this, everything from issues with the Board of Governors to the Silent Sam problems and things like that. And so they got first place in that, and I think that's a really nice feather in the cap for us to have won that. Lindsay got second place award for education reporting for a story that she did about the 25th anniversary of the Leandro lawsuit, and then she also got second place, and we're really proud of this, for her accounting of the budget veto override in the House on September 11th, because everybody was reporting on that. And in fact, the judges mentioned as much that this was a story in which there were a lot of entities that placed entries in there, and she got second place in that. So we're very, very proud of that.
And Julie Havlack and John Trump also getting awards.
They also got second place. John for his columns about various topics, and then Julie for hers about a series of stories she did dealing with people who qualify for Medicaid in North Carolina and can't get there because of the bureaucracy. And so, again, a wide range of stories, and we're just proud of everybody.
So reporting and also commentary, winning awards from the team at Carolina Journal. All of that work available at carolinajournal.com. You can also sign up for the daily CJ email so you know what's coming. Make sure that you can take advantage of this award-winning, rigorous journalism. Journalism the way it used to be done, it's done that way now at Carolina Journal. Rick Henderson is editor-in-chief. Thank you, Rick.
Thank you, Don.